Hi Pellerinos, just wanted to fill you all in. This was filmed before the new lockdown restrictions came in. Just want to make it clear that we're not flaunting the rules here on bobbinsleak. Follow the guidelines for your area, obviously. You know, keep yourselves safe out there. Follow the rules. Let's do what we can to make sure less people die. I'll let Pastor Bob take it from here.
Hey Pellerinos, I'm here with Squishtheninja.
Hi!
I'll put links to all of the things in the description. We're just gonna talk shit for as long as I can be asked to edit.
Pretty much. Cool, sounds good. We got drinks, we
got bevies, we're good. Frankie's trying to knock the tripod over, I'm sure it'll be fine.
I spilled my drink on myself because that's what I'm like. Well done me.
This is where we're at. We are 43 seconds into filming.
We got the chaotic energy going.
The chaotic vibes. I've fully lost what we were going to talk about. Classism.
Yeah, we were going to talk about classism on YouTube specifically,
yeah.
I think.
Essentially, this came from me thinking and me tweeting about when I started doing YouTube. It was just a bunch of people on their webcams, or in your case, whatever cheap camera you could get hold of.
It had a little digital. It was for taking photos. It was a digital camera that you could have in your bag or whatever for taking
photos.
Nights
out.
Yeah, but it had a video function where you could film for 60 seconds at a time. So I started on that, just filming and stopping every 60 seconds, you know.
And that was fine then. Now there is an expectation with YouTube that there's decent video quality. And to reach that video quality, you need not only a decent camera. This one cost me £100, and I know there's going to be people in the comments like, that's not that much to spend on a camera.
It really depends where you're coming from. I feel like people who, I don't know, people who have a lot of money already or have disposable income, maybe £100 isn't a lot to them.
Yeah.
But for people who, if you've got less than £100, or some people who are, maybe you don't even have enough for normal stuff like bills and food and stuff. You're not gonna have enough to buy an £100 camera.
The first 2 years of my adult living on my own type life, I barely had enough for us to eat and keep the electric on. It's only now, quite a few years on, and quite luckily being in a job, that I'm able to spend £100 on a camera. But having said that, I was lucky in that time that I had a partner who had a camera that I could use, and that's how I built this channel. But then you get into it more, so I still get comments now needs better lighting, needs better sound, and I'm like, yeah, it does.
But it's
money. But I can't afford it yet.
Yeah, I feel like when YouTube started, a lot of it was home video. There was a lot of videos didn't have any editing. People didn't even have editing.
You just
software.
upload what you'd filmed on your webcam or on a cheap camera and you just put it out there because you kind of built relationships that way. And I think that's what a lot of people feel is missing from more modern YouTube. And whilst obviously people who are successful in YouTube build relationships through it, and I think I still do. It's not as easy as it once was. It used to be you just put yourself out there. And then you talk to people about the things you cared about and the person you were.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel as well as the equipment and stuff, there's also time. Because
definitely, yeah.
YouTube, I feel it did used to cover a lot more people. A lot more people would be able to upload to YouTube, but even then, it was, if you are, for example, a person who is working full time, maybe working multiple jobs or whatever, and it must be really, I find it must be really difficult to hear from a YouTuber that you watch or something, to hear, oh, anyone can be a YouTuber, just pick up a camera, anyone can do it. And it's what if you don't have the time or you don't have the money to do it, but you would really like to. And I feel that's understandable, and that's understandable that is not a viable career path for that person, or even a hobby path for that person. But we need to express that, and people need to understand that, rather than all YouTubers being YouTubers for everyone.
But what started this conversation was essentially people being well, you can just shoot on your iPhone. And I tweeted about how that is now not an accessible option. Your average iPhone at the cheapest end is £800. Then you need the ability to edit footage because uncut footage is just not deemed acceptable anymore. Things like Movie Maker don't exist anymore unless you download them illegally. I can send you a link, by the way. You can use things like DaVinci, but that requires an amount of time dedicated to learning how to use it. Lightworks is the same, and those aren't like beginner editing. Those are, you dive in at the deep end. And it's taken me, 10 years since I started this channel to start even trying to use them. And I still find them difficult because I have no training in that area. I've just tried to teach myself.
Mm-hmm.
What old Movie Maker used to offer a lot of people, and what iMovie still offers people with money, is this very simple cut and paste editing that allows people to get their ideas out there. But obviously, to have iMovie, you need a Mac, and what's the cheapest Mac? Like £800?
I think it's more than that. I think £1,000
Yeah.
is probably.
No working class person can afford that. And like, I am, as I was saying to you earlier, doing better financially than I've done in my life, and I still don't think I'm going to be able to afford a Mac for a long, long while. And it's not even necessarily a individual thing. For a lot of people, they came from not even wealth, but like a middle class standing.
Yeah, one of the main things that I think about if I think about like classism in YouTube, it's the YouTubers who do like content. A lot of the time it's lifestyle content.
Yeah.
And they say the title of the video will be like affordable makeup routine, or it'll be like you don't need high-end products to make your living room look like this or something. And you click on it, and the makeup one, it'll be like, oh, I'm using only high street brands. But high street brands are still expensive.
High street
like
brands
the normal
also
person.
cover a very large range. Like,
Yeah.
even as a person who doesn't use makeup all that much, I know full well that can be anything from £3 to £40. Like,
Yeah.
that's still
It's a big
quite a
difference.
lot.
Yeah. One of the companies that I see on makeup videos a lot that people talk about is e.l.f. e.l.f. is a high street makeup brand that sort of has the same quality as like high-end brands, but their stuff is still really expensive for like the normal average person. And I feel like YouTube doesn't think about that. If they say, oh, I'm making a video for like people who got less money than me, they'll use e.l.f. products or something, which e.l.f. is a great company, but it's not for the people who have like no money that still want to be able to use makeup, you know. And I don't think that stuff like makeup or even just like home design or any of the stuff that lifestyle YouTubers use or do, I don't think it should be limited to just people with money. Like,
and I do feel like a lot of the people that you'll see on YouTube, and it's not to say that people aren't putting the cheaper options out there, it's just it's a lot harder to create content that's going to get like picked up and pushed if you're using lower cost product. Therefore, you're sort of always coming from this middle class bouncing range. And as a person who was born working class, grew up on a council estate, then was even skinter for a solid like 4 or 5 years, and is only now feeling vaguely financially okay, I don't think it's representative of a huge portion of people. And I think it pushes a lot of people away from being able to create that content, because without the investment into the stuff you use to develop your videos, which is money that these people don't have, the suggestions of these cheaper options just go astray, when realistically that's what more people probably need to be able to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think there is room on YouTube for, I know we were saying before, like, you might not be able to afford a camera and stuff, but there should be room on YouTube for people who have less money and don't have the equipment that you would expect, don't have the polished look of the YouTube videos and stuff. And I feel like old YouTube used to be like that.
I think that's the YouTube we fell into as well.
Yeah.
Like, it was very, whoever you are, if you can get hold of anything that films you, you can put it here, and people might even watch it. And to, like, our teenage selves, that's what we got from YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I know you've moved away from YouTube in recent years, because YouTube isn't particularly creator friendly anymore anyway, and it's certainly not creator friendly if you don't have the money to
really
invest.
I feel like even with the big creators, YouTube is maybe not treating them the best.
Yeah,
I see a lot of big creators saying that the videos have been demonetized and stuff like that.
And they're often demonetized for like really trivial things, or for things that just full stop should not be demonetized. My main example of this is I have an SEO tracker built into my YouTube. I've downloaded it. I'm happy to link anyone if they just ask me. And it tells you like an SEO score based on your tags. And if you add the tag transgender, the number drops.
It's awful.
Because
it's so bad.
any content about someone being transgender is apparently unmonetizable and should not be pushed as much, which is obviously nonsense. I think you all know that.
That's so bad. I hate all that. And
I hate it.
I make content mainly on Twitch now, and I feel like Twitch, like they've only just started having to worry about like contented music, like copyrighted music.
Yeah, I saw all that
platform and
happening.
stuff.
I think I wrote an article about it.
Fair. They've only just started worrying about that. So I think in terms of YouTube, in terms of like what companies and sort of the law and stuff is looking at them for, they're a little bit behind.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is going to become an
Like
issue
it'll
with,
catch up.
yeah,
thing.
I don't know if all this will become an issue with Twitch in time, but so far it's not. And the way that Twitch treat their creators is so much better than the way that
definitely.
YouTube treats their creators. So I'm not gonna name anyone, but there was like a relatively big YouTuber in the UK YouTuber scene that I had a disagreement with, and the main disagreement was they were from a middle class background, and they, as well as doing YouTube, they also produce for like TV, for like TV shows and stuff. And after a convention, they tweeted about some people who had come over to them during the convention and said, "You're really inspirational, I'd love to do what you do, but I just can't afford it. I can't afford to like go into work in TV, I can't afford to become a producer, I can't afford to have a big YouTube channel." And their response to it was, "Yes, you can, anyone can do it if you really want it enough." And I thought that was really disrespectful to their audience.
I think especially though, if you are from that middle class background, you probably don't even realise, especially if you've gone from middle class background to vaguely successful and able to edit for TV channels, and you've not really struggled in between. And I'm not saying that it's easy to get there, but there's a difference. There's a clear like jumping off point that's higher. If you don't realise that, you don't necessarily know that what you're saying hurts. Like 2015 me, if someone had said, well, if you just put the effort in, you'll be able to do the YouTube thing instead of working in fast food and hating every minute. And it's like, well, no, I couldn't. I needed to pay my rent.
Yeah, people have got bills they need to pay. There's also like, there's the time it takes up. There's also in the TV and film industry, I've worked in the TV and film industry a little bit.
Yeah.
I did some like running, which is basically, as a runner, it's like the lowest
You're the bottom
job.
rung, aren't you? Yeah.
It's an okay job. Like it's a good way to get into the film and TV
It's not
industry.
consistent though.
No, but it is interesting, but you don't get paid a lot. Like, I wouldn't say you get paid a living wage. A lot of the time you don't even get minimum wage. It's like seen as like one of these jobs for experience. It depends, depending on the company and who
you
you're
could
working
work
for.
somewhere that's really good that will treat you really well with it, but it does depend hugely.
So I think I've done one running job where I got paid like minimum wage, one running job where they were like, we'll pay for your meals and stuff like that, but that's it. I did a few running jobs where it was just like you're working for the experience, and I did one job where I was working for a film company where I was doing, to be fair, I was doing admin, not actual film work, so I was doing like sending emails out for them and stuff. But that I ended up quitting, not because the company was bad, like the company was very nice to me and I appreciate that experience, but it was costing me around £15, which is quite a lot, around £15 a day for travel and my lunch, because that wasn't covered. I wasn't getting paid anything and I was working 9 to 5, and like, I'm lucky that I was even able to do that for a bit. Yeah, I didn't do that for very long. But most people can't afford to do that, and that's what you need to do at the moment to get into the industry.
I think there's a thing with most creative industries where to get anywhere it's expected that you just have experience, and like hands up, when I was at uni I had 3 jobs, some of which were internships for creative things, some of which were just, I know this will pay me enough to survive. And it's not that I disliked having those jobs, but also working 3 jobs whilst doing a degree is not the one, but it was what I knew I needed to do as a person from a working class background to get anywhere in any of those industries. And I think that expectation is incredibly high and incredibly ableist before we even get into anything else.
Definitely.
Like, very few people are able to do that. I'm lucky, I'm not lucky that I was able to work 3 jobs while studying, because coming from my background means you won't get somewhere if you don't, but I'm lucky that I was able to even do that. You can just hear my cat running up and down stairs, I'm sorry.
Cat noises.
And it's very presumptive. I think it's very easy to think everyone's coming from the same background you do, and I'm not hating on anyone for thinking that. I'm saying you need to think carefully, especially if you have a following, like the person you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You need to think quite carefully, do I understand every sort of corner of why people would struggle to get into this industry? Do I understand why not everyone is doing this? Or are they just lazy? And 9 times out of 10, they're not just lazy. No. 9 times out of 10,
I think in general, when people say, "Oh, that person's lazy," there's almost always something going on.
There are very few
exceptions.
Yeah. I've not talked about it too much on here, but basically I had to move out when I was 18. That meant making sure I had enough money when I was 18. That meant if I didn't have rent, I'd be homeless when I was 18. And that is a thing that I feel like a lot of people don't consider. So many people are like, just move back in while you're family, while you do your unpaid internships. And I'm
Some
like,
people don't have that option. Like, you've got to think
if I lived with my family,
yeah.
And I couldn't anyway because we had issues with the rooms, but that's not the point. But generally, like, my brother still lives with my family and he's 21, but he is still paying board, and that board isn't much less than what I pay now in rent. And it's very presumptive to assume that people can just live at home for free, and it's a very middle class perspective.
Yeah.
And I do feel like it wipes out a lot of working class perspectives about why they struggle to get into industries and why these things are so inaccessible, and why everywhere that just has unpaid internships needs to be reevaluated, because they are shutting out incredible talent.
Yeah, one of the other things as well that I do see a lot in creative industries in general is they'll hear that argument and they'll be like, oh no, but like if someone shows us that they've got enough talent, then we'll make acceptances for them, or like we'll give them some money or whatever. But in order for them to have that experience or that like talent, it's not that they don't have talent, it's that they've had the opportunity to like prove that they've got that talent,
to develop that practical experience. Yeah,
but you can't get that experience without doing the work, and it's just, I feel like the world at the moment is it's just piled against people from lower income backgrounds.
For sure. And that, like, as 2 white people, that primarily affects people who aren't white.
Yeah, so everything that we're saying for people of colour, it's always worse.
But even just from our standpoint, it's very clear that these opportunities are not equal, and that people from moneyed backgrounds will always have more access to those things. I remember being accepted onto an internship while I was at uni, and starting with 2 other people, one of whom's parents were paying for her to live for a year, one of whom was a student whose parents were paying her rent. And I was there, and I'd been paying my own way for like 5 years, and I'd managed to get this internship, and I was lucky enough that it was a paid one, which is very rare in like social media and things like that, and it was what allowed me to work into social media later. But it was very clear that I was lucky to have it, and it wasn't from an equal footing. It was, you are lucky to be here, don't screw up. Because you know that's going to fall on you more because you're the chance they were taking, rather than, even though I had the same qualifications and probably even more experience, rather than being the person they specifically want for that role.
I think we should maybe make some points in conclusion.
Conclusion.
So I want to say that anyone who does want to like work in anything creative or wants to be a YouTuber or anything, if you're from a low income background, this does not mean that you cannot do it.
No, do it. Like, and if you want to hit me up, I follow a lot of people who post opportunities for people from low income backgrounds in various creative fields, and I'll happily link you to them so that you can access as many opportunities as there are available to you.
The chances sort of are against you, but you definitely can still do it if you want to. You just need to work with what's viable in your life. Think about things that you have to, like bills or whatever, what you've got to pay for, what free time you've got, and choose if you want to like spend that free time that you've got doing this, then you can do.
Also, if you're opting for uni, look for places that will give you the equipment, so that you don't have to put that investment in at a time when possibly your money is even more precarious. There are a lot of universities that do things like film degrees that will provide you with cameras on like a rental basis. Look for those will help you so much.
To anyone who is currently a creator, this is just generally, just maybe think about your audience, and even if you think, oh, the majority of my audience is middle class, just think about how you're making the people who aren't middle class feel.
And also, remember, YouTube analytics are great. They don't show you what class people are from.
Yeah.
You can assume people are from the same background as you. They almost certainly aren't. I know my audience don't necessarily share my experiences and vice versa. And as creators, it's important that we remember that. We good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
So, thank you for watching. We really hope that you guys are going to work towards whatever careers you want to, honestly.
Yeah.
If you did enjoy this, give us a cheeky like and subscribe. You can find all of Tara's information in the description below. And I'll see you guys later.
Bye.